In this week's video, I'm going to show you how to start a thread for doing backstitch or another kind of line stitch. For instance, if you want to add text like this to a pattern when you don't have any cross stitches nearby to anchor it to. I'm Ford, and this is my supervisor Nugget, and welcome to the Caterpillar Cross Stitch YouTube channel. A couple of weeks ago, I made a video showing you how to deal with confetti stitches, which is a name we use for little individual stitches that are floating off in the middle of an otherwise unstitched area. I showed you a few different ways to handle that, so make sure you check out my video on that topic if you missed the lesson. But that prompted a few people to ask me how to deal with it when you have a similar situation, but instead of cross stitches, your stitches are back stitches. How do you start that thread without anything to anchor it to? And that's what I'm going to be covering today. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel so I can keep on just diving straight into the lesson every week. There are a lot of reasons why you might want to add a backstitch in an unstitched area like this. For instance, if you're making a birth announcement or a wedding gift or something like that, and you want to put a name and a date on it. Or if you just want to sign your own work when you're done. But starting a thread like this and having it not be prone to coming out can be a little bit complicated. So I have a few different techniques. You can pick and choose different patterns, different stitchers, different materials are going to require different techniques. So that's what I'm going to give you a few to choose from. And the first one is what's called a waste away knot. All we do for this one is we tie a little quilter's knot in the end of our needle, and then we take our needle down through the fabric a couple of stitches away from where we're going to start, but in the direction we're going to be stitching towards. So if I were trying to stitch this word backstitch again, I would bring my needle down up somewhere that I'm going to go to, but then I'll bring my needle up through the front a little ways away, so that I'm basically kind of stitching towards that knot. And that way my stitches that I do will just apply a little bit of friction to that floss and hold the tail underneath on the backside. So after I've stitched past it, I can just go ahead and give that little tail a little bit of a pull and snip off my knot. Now the friction from those stitches that I did over the top of it will hold that start in place and I can keep moving. That one's easy, low-tech, and old school, but not quite as secure as I would personally normally like. And the farther away you start, the more stitches that'll be to hold it in place, and the more secure it will be. And the next one uses a similar technique, but it has a couple of adaptations that I've made to help it be a bit more secure. Nugget's going to supervise this one extra closely. And it's a one-strand loop start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my thread down through the surface most of the way, and I'm going to hang on to that little tail right there. I'm going to do that a stitch away from where I want to start, but in the direction that I'm going to be going. So then I'll bring my needle back up and then straight back down through the same hole. And then I will bring my needle up at the place where I actually want my line to start. And you can see that that leaves me a little loop or bite here. I can pass my needle through that. And then I want to put my needle down through the spot where that bite comes from. Because if I put it down on the other side, I'm going to wind up with two strands on the surface, and I don't want that. I only want one. So then I'm going to continue to hold that tail and pull that a little bit tight. But then I will bring my needle up through the hole where that tail is. But most of the time we try to avoid this, but I am actually going to split the strands of that thread on my way up with the needle. And then I'll go down, back through, make the other half line stitch here. And then I'll do that one more time. I'll come up past that spot where that tail is, and I will again split the strands of that tail on my way down through the fabric. And because that tail has been locked in place by two threads piercing it, it's quite secure and will stay there very well. And now that I've stitched past it, I can go ahead and pull that tail a little bit tight, snip it off, and that will leave a little bit of the tail on the front. You can use your snag nabbit to just push that back. Very helpful, Nugget, thank you. I'll pull that tail around to the back side of the fabric. Now, the next couple of methods are sort of based on rethinking your process, rethinking the order in which you're going to make your stitches. So instead of thinking of it as a word and stitching it in the same order that I would write it, I'll think of it as a block of stitches. And I usually start in the middle and work my way out. So that's what I'm going to do here. So what I would normally do is I would figure out on the front of my pattern where the middle point of the word is. I'll stick my needle through the hole that corresponds to that location. Then I'll go around to the back of my fabric and bring my needle through so that I've got an eye on the spot where I need to start. And what I'll do is I will kind of slip my needle under one of the little threads of the Ada, because Ada has a subweave and there are actually 4 threads in each square. So I'll just slip my needle under one of those threads. And I'll pull it most of the way through. And using the same technique as when we do a loop start, I will just hitch my thread to that one strand of the fabric weave. And then stick my needle back up to the front. And I'll pull my needle back to the front. So I now have 2 strands coming out of that one hole in the fabric. So then I will just separate those 2 strands. And I'll set one of them aside. And you can wrap this around a needle minder, or you can even use a needle to kind of stick it through your extra fabric off the edge of your hoop. But then I'm going to take one of those strands and I'm going to start stitching off in one direction. So I would take this one, I would stitch off towards the right. In the middle of the word is where the S and the T are, so I'm just going to start from the T and work my way off to the right with this strand. Then once I've finished stitching the titch, I'll come back, I'll grab my other strand, the one that I parked, and I'll stitch from right to left and stitch the word backs. It doesn't work very well if you're trying to improvise the lettering, so you will want to kind of chart those out ahead of time. But this is a really easy way to get it started that's very, very clean and doesn't leave a lot of mess on the back. Make sure you don't miss out on any of the other benefits of the Caterpillar Cross Stitch community by 1. Signing up for our email newsletter. You'll find out about upcoming retreats, stitch-alongs, socials, that kind of stuff. Plus you'll get an ebook with 10 free PDF cross-stitch patterns in it worth £60 as soon as you sign up. And 2, make sure you join the Facebook group and follow the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Instagram. It's an amazing resource full of tons and tons of stitchers, and it's a wonderful supportive community, so make sure you check that out. The last method that I'm going to show you works in a very similar way. This one would be excellent in particular for doing black work, because black work traditionally is done rather than with a backstitch, with a Holbein stitch, a double running stitch, where normally you would go down half the time and then come back half the time. The reason being that black work was created for reinforcing clothing. So you wanted the stitches to look the same on the front and the back. So using the 2 needle method that I showed you in last week's video, and check that out if you haven't seen it, I think it might blow your mind. I'm gonna start with 2 needles that span one stitch that I want to make during this process. So I'll put a needle with one end of the thread up here, and then I'll put a needle with the other end of the thread up through here. And then I'm going to pull those 2 needles until they have the same amount of thread on either side. And I'm just going to take one of those needles and I'm going to park it. Just stick it up in the fabric that I haven't stitched yet. And I'll take my first needle and I'll hold this tail a little bit while I do it until there's enough friction to hold it in place, but then I will just start stitching. And then when I hit the end, I'll just end that the way I normally would, tuck it under some existing stitches or maybe weave it through the fabric a little bit, finish that off. Then I'll come back and pick up the other needle and then I'll move from the middle to the left side with that one. So it's a little bit similar to the one I showed you a minute ago, but even easier because I don't even have to lock it to the weave of the fabric to start it. On the other hand, if I were doing black work, I would want to put both needles at one end of the line that I'm going to make, but a couple stitches apart, depending on how long I make each stitch in my black work. And I'd bring them both up to the surface of the fabric. and I would take one needle and I'd run off down doing my line of stitches for the blackwork. Doing a running stitch where I've got it on the surface of the fabric half the time and I've got it on the back of the fabric half the time. So that winds up creating a dashed line like this. Blackwork usually consists mostly of lines which form geometric patterns when they intersect. So then once I get down to the end of the line that I'm going to do, I can then take my second needle and I can do the other half of that Holbein stitch, coming up where the first one went down and going down where the first one went up. And that will create a continuous line across without having to go down and back. I start on one side, I keep moving that same direction. And then at the end I can tie that off in any of the customary ways. But then when we get to the end, the line looks the same on the front and on the back, which is what you traditionally want for blackwork. So those are some of my favorite ways for starting a thread for backstitch or line stitching when you don't have any full cross stitches around to anchor it to. That is all I have for you this week. I do want to thank you so much for watching. My name is Ford. This is my supervisor, Nugget the parakeet, Caterpillar Cross Stitch. I will see you next week.